Welcome back, everybody. So we are going to have an update tasting of our SMaSH with Mosaic. This is a Mosaic SMaSH beer, single hop, single malt. This is using raw 2-row. This is one that we made at the beginning. This was bottled on 3/8, I believe it is. I don't know. 3/31. See, good thing I wrote it down on here too. Beersmith wanted 6.2% ABV. This ended up 7.67%. I think this is the third tasting of this, so it'll be the last. It is 5 months old, but again, in this series, we want to test them fresh or 2 to 4 weeks old, then 2 months old, then 3 months old, depending on how many we have, just to see how long it could last. Now, going by my notes, because this is 7.6% ABV, this would be considered a double IPA. I usually about 7.5 and up is where I say double IPA. This is a small batch, so it's 1.25 gallons going into the fermenter with bottling 4 24-ounce bottles. This, if you wanted to know, post-boil was 1067. And then it finished at 1030, but that is using a refractometer, so you do have to do a calculation on it. This is one of the first ones, as I said, so this is using 2 pounds, 12 ounces of grain with a hop schedule of 0.39 ounces at 30 minutes, 0.29 at 5 minutes, then 0.32 ounces 3 days into fermentation. And if you've been watching this series, then you do know we have switched it up over the months just to try and get a little bit more balanced. These ABVs at the beginning were going very high, and we wanted to tone those back down, at least on the beers I made. So we did drop it to 2 pounds of grain, then maybe some of them had 2.25 pounds of grain, maybe some of them had 2.5 pounds of grain. But again, this is one of the first ones. This Mosaic was 10.9% alpha acid. We do have a little bit of head on their white, about 1/4 of a finger. If we look at the color, it does look like it has aged. It looks more dark caramel in color, lots of bubbles coming up. I do have settlement, but because we are using the Mr. Beer fermenter, it's just an open spout, so the hops pellets that are going in, and once they start breaking it down into that leaf, that spigot will let them all out. Yeah, I can make out the light box, but yeah, it's chill haze, and there's yeast and protein floating in there. Let's go ahead and get a smell, see what we get. It does have some sweet malt, a little bit more of a malty sweet backbone, but the citrus bitterness of the hop is still coming out. I would almost say like a very nice sweet citrus after you get past that malt sweetness. Let's go ahead and taste. Citrus bitterness, big bitterness, big. Like that bitterness almost takes over everything. That sweet malt, you really don't get it. There is a touch of sweetness in there. This is more of almost, I would say, a West Coast IPA. That big bitterness, citrus, I would say generic citrus, not any one like grapefruit rind or anything like that. Just an overall citrus in there. You do get a little bit more of that sweet malt on the aftertaste as your palate warms up. It's like you get that big bitterness as it goes down. Then as your palate warms up, it's more of a sweet citrus bitterness than anything. it does taste like an older IPA. Like, even though the alpha acids are still high, and usually what happens over time, that sweet malt will take over because the alpha acids start dying down. They're still there, but for an 11.9% alpha acid hop, I would expect it to go out longer. I didn't think this one would go out as long for almost having 3 pounds of grain in a 1 gallon batch. But a lot of that bitterness, the characteristic, which I did write down, of the hop isn't really there. It's very muddled, like I've been saying, that citrus, big bitterness. But Mosaic, from what I wrote down from the bag, strong citrus, which you are getting, but it's more of a bitterness. I wouldn't even call it a grapefruit rind citrus. Blueberry tropical fruit. The blueberry tropical fruit, I believe, have never been there, but the citrus has been. I'm almost positive. I don't go back and look at the videos, my tasting videos before, because I want to try and taste it for what it is. I don't remember that bitterness being that big in this beer. But overall, still a good drinking beer. Is it balanced? I would say this is not balanced. There's too much bitterness. I would want some more sweet malt in that taste to actually balance that bitterness out. But it does drink heavier. It drinks like a thicker beer, a heavier beer, a higher ABV beer. So yeah, I would be safe to say that it is a double IPA at this point. But yeah, not bad. Again, I think this is the last one, so this should be tasting 3. If I do have one more, we will wait another month or so and then taste that one and see what we get. But if you're into bigger, bitter beers, this is definitely one you could make and age a while, 5 months or so, and then drink it, and I think you'll like it. So if you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you know when new videos are coming out. And until next time, happy brewing.